So I had a professor, and one of the things that she brought up was like taking 30 minutes to yourself every day, right? That's those 30 minutes, you do whatever you want. Like, don't worry about paying bills. Like, just do whatever you want.
No tasks, just complete mind off the problem.
Yeah.
Thing.
Do you? And I find that very meditating. Like, even it's not your traditional like, I'm just gonna sit in silence. But do you find that like going to the gym does it for you? Like, that's your time. Like, that's your time to be.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be. Not every time though.
Okay.
Not every time. Sometimes my me time, and it's tough in today's day and age.
It is, yeah.
Because sometimes time that should be my me time, I'll end up spending on my phone, or I'll end up spending on YouTube or something.
Really?
And I hate that. And I hate it, and I want to change it, and it's something that it's like I'm really working on right now. But I do take time to just myself. And a lot of it like will be kicked off by meditation. Yeah. But I also find sometimes like, not that I enjoy doing these things, but sometimes the act of like cleaning dishes or like cleaning the kitchen or the bathroom or something like that, where it's a nice little small satisfying task that is easy to check the box, that's easy to feel good about afterwards. And when doing it without listening to anything, you really can actually kind of like go in. You can go mentally inward, and I think really work through some things. And I actually did that. I did that fairly recently, where I had been taking a pretty decent break from cannabis, and I decided consciously that I wanted to smoke that night and then go like clean the bathroom and everything. And when I did that, it was like the perfect amount where I smoked just enough to get really introspective. Yeah. And as I did it, I didn't even listen to a podcast or music or anything. I just cleaned the bathroom and I was kind of in my head the whole time, but not in a way of like letting my thoughts control me, because that's why I meditate, so that I can kind of notice that, but more of like, I got to ruminate over things that I think I just needed to really think it out deeply without any distractions. Yeah. And the act of physically wiping something is enough to keep your brain active without getting too off track.
Yeah. I don't think enough people do that. Like, take time for themselves, whether it is like, hey, I really want to watch The Simpsons tonight. I'm going to do it. And you get home and you don't because you're too tired or you're on your phone, Yeah. And I've seen it. Like, I see it every day, like at work, where I'm like, you're burnt out. But you're burnt out because you're not taking care of yourself.
It's more than just the job, which brings, jobs bring their own stress level, and whatever your duties are at the job, that's its own thing. But there is this level of like, if you're not getting a break at home, you're definitely not getting it at work. Yeah. So if you're not giving yourself that time, then it's gonna come out later. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. That really, I wish I could just take someone and be like, yo, go outside and just sit without your phone. And enjoy yourself. Like, just don't do anything. Yep. But people don't do that.
Well, it's hard because we feel like we always have something we need to do. That's the American culture. The American culture has sold us that any moment you're not being productive, you're wasting time. Yeah. Which sometimes wasting time is the most productive thing you could do. Yeah. Because without that, you have no reference point.
Yeah. I got to tell you, like, looking back at life so far, going to Cuba, I was there for 3 weeks back in 2011. There was no phone, and I made it a purpose to not go on the internet, like, because you could go on the internet, but it was like dial-up.
Yeah, super slow.
Yeah, it was not worth it. Like, you were literally wasting an hour trying to send a message. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk around. And a lot of people, like, I think I was the only one out of the group that didn't, 20 of us that did not go on the internet. And the people that, like, they started seeing that I was happier because I wasn't caught up with what was going back home. And what I thought to myself, I'm like, if it's an emergency, the people that need to get a hold of me know how to get a hold of me. Period.
It's true.
And I'm just gonna enjoy myself. And I really like those type of trips where I can just disconnect from the world. And it's not like I'm going MIA or I'm purposely avoiding you. It's just, hey, like,
I need to unplug.
And I wish people did more of that, man. I really do. And I think if people did that, they'll be in a better spot.
100%. I think we need to give more opportunities for people to feel like they can, because Americans leave more hours, and I don't know the exact hours, but leave more hours of vacation on the table than any other country. Mm-hmm. And then people who don't use their hours have been proven to be worse at their job and to be in a worse psychological place. We need to take steps away from what we're doing.
Did you know that places like Netflix, who don't have limits on vacation, mm-hmm. actually have people take less vacation?
Really?
Yeah.
But they use it more strategically, or
they
don't use it?
No, because you feel guilty, because you're like, well, I'm gonna take this week, but is it okay? Like, do I deserve this week?
Yeah.
Whereas where it's structured, we're like, oh, I got 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Better use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another place, like,
that is interesting. The psychological effect of that. Yeah. I wonder why that's the case, and I wonder if, because I think with a big team or something like that, you can feel more like the diffusion of responsibility. Yeah. Whereas, like, if you're in a team of 5 people, you know that when you're gone, you're putting extra work on everyone else. Yeah. And you directly know who those people are. But when you're working in a huge team, it's easy to be like, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. But that astonishes me, man. Like, you have unlimited vacation. I probably would never show up to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take advantage of unlimited vacation.
Yeah, we think that though, and then we're in that, and we're like, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on this trip for now, because this project, we have to get this project done.
And that's fair, and that might change it. I guess in my mind it would be, I would just plan more of them. Yeah. But way ahead of time. Yeah. So that way they knew when I was taking it. Yeah. That way they could plan accordingly. Like, hey, you knew 2 months ago I was not going to be here for a week. Yeah. And that's where I planned. I haven't fully planned the trip yet, but I've at least gotten the time off, and I planned a trip that I want to go to Colorado. Yeah, in August, you did tell me that about that. I was talking about it in the break room, and I'm so excited for it, because this is gonna be like my first trip, really, since like moving out of my parents' house, really? Where it really is to go somewhere new, because ever since I've come here, I've always had to like go back to Florida. Yeah. And I went on a trip with my family to DC, which was cool because Kelly was living in DC at the time, my sister. And it was awesome. It was such a great trip. We got to see some cool stuff. It was a great time with the family, but that's different, It's different than going with friends. Yeah. So going to Colorado is going to be like a place for me to see a new place I've never seen before. Yeah. To do it with a bunch of friends. So it's just kind of like a fun, casual thing. To see mountains, which is something I'm like, I really want to see some nature shit. Yeah, bro. You're going to have a good time. And the legal weed. All of those things. Really? Yeah. Weed? No. Weed? What? No, man. I love Colorado. I love the nature crap. Like, all that stuff. I love it. Yeah, I have to escape the city. Yeah. And it's not like, I don't do it for Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I love, you do it for yourself. Yeah, I love going in there. That's always the best thing. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of going in August too, where like I know it's cool to see it in the snow, but no offense, I'm tired of the cold. I want to see it in like nice absolutely, weather, man. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if like I want to go like hiking on mountains and stuff. Like I want to be able to do it where the weather's nice and it's just pretty and green and lush. Yeah. And I can't wait. I can't wait for that, because that'll be so big for me to be able to have a nice long, like week-long stretch where I can really enjoy it, go explore, hang with some friends, see some shit I've never seen before. I'll feel like I'm finally starting to explore, America. I told you earlier that I've been given a lot of opportunities that others have not. Mm-hmm. And one of them has been for travel. I've been to a lot of places, a lot of cool places. Mm-hmm. And I wish people travel more. Like, it's hands down. I think it'll make them a better individuals overall. Like, you get 100%. To see other cultures and whatnot. Yeah, it gives you different context for the human experience. Yeah, and there's someone that we work with, I won't mention names. They said that they would never leave Chicago because Chicago is the best city in the world. Mm. And I'm like, how do you know that? How else? Where else have you been? And they're like, I don't need to leave Chicago to know that. Mm. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, that kind of does make sense. Yeah, right, you got to at least explore some other places first. Yeah, like at least go somewhere cool. Like even if you don't find it to be the best city in the world, like
go explore. And I told one of our friends, I told her, I'm like, don't let a guy tell you that you're the most beautiful girl, especially when he doesn't have a passport.
Because he hasn't seen the world, man. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. I think, because like I visited New York immediately after moving to Chicago. Like I went to Chicago and I moved in, and then like maybe a month later or so, I made a trip to visit my friend Matt, who at the time was going to NYU Law. And I saw it at the worst time ever. It was like this rain, sleet shit, and it was like 30-something degrees, and it was just terrible. Yeah. And in the end, Chicago actually had nicer weather that weekend.
I believe that.
Yeah. And so then I was like, damn, I'm like, why did I even fucking leave?
What?
But it was a cool experience to see New York, because that was something I'd always wanted to see. So
I do have to say that people get caught up and like, I don't fly Spirit, I don't fly Frontier, and I have to stay at this hotel or else I can't go. And I'm like, why? Most of the trips I've taken have been very cheap. Like people are like, how do you do it? I'm like,
because you find deals.
I'm like, I usually go last minute. I figure it out. I stay at like hotels that I know are
What
cheap.
about Airbnb? You ever tried doing that?
I have. I'm not a big fan.
Why not? Just out of curiosity.
The bed.
The bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually garbage.
Yeah, most of them are.
Yeah.
We stayed at so I love the Hyatt because it's Chicago based. So I usually try to stay at the Hyatt when I can. This weekend we were in DC and we were in Cincinnati. We stayed at the Hyatt in Cincinnati because it was $100, and I'm like, it's $100, like you can't really beat it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then we went to DC and we stayed at Marriott because it was $80. And we actually drove further to get to these hotels than actually staying in the city. And and just the simple reason is that I know the bed. I know what kind of bed they have, and I know that I can sleep on it.
Yeah. And that would be horrible. You go on a trip and you get no sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
you can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
You can't enjoy it if you're tired.
The only time we do Airbnb is when we have a big group, where you can accommodate for 10 people on a trip. Like just gotta.
That's what I was thinking of for the trip to Colorado. As I was thinking, I'm like, I'm probably gonna try to get like a decent amount of people to go, and so it's like Airbnb is probably gonna. I would like the idea of being able to like Airbnb like a fucking house, like a dope ass like
you'll
not just an apartment, like a dope ass house that then a bunch of people are all staying in.
You just have to find the people that are willing to pay the money, man. Because I think that's the downfall of trips, where like you plan something and you're like, hey, I want to do. You sell this idea, people are like down for it, and you're like, all right, it's gonna be $200 to everyone, and they're like,
no.
Yeah, I'm just like,
what? But it's worth it. Like, that's what it's for. Yeah. I'm of the mind that like, I'd rather spend money on experiences than things.
I'm with you.
I've spent a lot of money on things in the preparation of getting my podcast off the ground and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of like upfront costs that I've had to forfeit experiences. But now I have enough of these things that I now want to spend my money on experiences.
Yeah, man. If there's one thing that I think you personally would benefit from, would be visiting Cuba. Yeah. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to do like my friends who are like, hey, I go to Mexico. I'm like, oh really? Like, where'd you go? And they're like, Cancun. Oh, I stay at the Hilton in Cancun. I'm like, did you leave the resort? No, why would I? Then you didn't go. Yeah, you just went to the beach. But the reason why I say Cuba is very hard on drugs. And it challenges you in ways that you don't think it would. And it's very safe, ironically, because people usually, other developing countries are not safe. Cuba is extremely safe. But it would challenge you because when you arrive, your taxi driver is probably going to be like an engineer. And he's a taxi driver because he makes more money as a taxi driver.
That's weird. How does a taxi driver make more money than an engineer?
Because it's socialism.
Okay.
But it puts you in a very like.
But it's a different kind of socialism. That's not like that Scandinavian socialism. It's more like South American socialism.
I don't know. You have to experience it. I wish I could tell you like this is what it is. And then when you get there, you can read everything about it. And you get there and you're like, this is not what I read, or this is not what I was expecting. Mm-hmm. And then you come back and it just gets you thinking. Your mind is running 100% the entire time. You're trying to understand something that you just can't understand.
Yeah.
And I compare it. Have you ever read 1984? Mm-hmm. Try to compare it to that, where like, you know, one day you wake up and you leave your apartment and people are like, oh, the cars are flying. And you're like, what do you mean they're flying? They're on tires. They're like, no, they're flying. And everyone's saying that the cars are flying. And you're mm-hmm. like, you know what? But they're not flying. And then you're like, all right, you know what? After like a week of people telling you the cars are flying, you're like, all right, you know what? They are flying. Whatever.
Yeah. 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that type of experience where you're like, you get in there and you're like, this is a fake world. Like, this is not a real world.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend Cuba.
Okay.
And don't stay at the Hotel Nacional, which is their like main hotel, like mm-hmm. the hotel where rich people go and stay. Mm-hmm. Don't stay there.
Go somewhere else. See la cultura. Mm-hmm.
Go to Malecón, hang out with people, man. I think you of all my friends would enjoy it the most.
I believe it.
And
I'd
because
like to.
And you speak Spanish.
Un poquito.
And man, like they'll challenge you, dude. And these are some of the most educated people I've ever met. They know their stuff. They know about us. Mm-hmm. And then you feel dumb because you don't know about as much about them.